Our cities are planned today based on various principles. They are designed keeping in mind the status quo. We build them for providing space for a growing population, allowing economic growth, or building a proper infrastructure. There have been examples through millennia and are happening today. Some are expansions to the existing ones while some are built from scratch. Jaipur was built completely new for a purpose of a new capital and is currently the capital of Rajasthan. Jaipur is a uniquely rich city in terms of cultural heritage and attracts millions of domestic and international tourists every year. Like many cities in India, Jaipur stands the test of time and its heart still lies where it was founded. Jaipur was founded by King Jai Singh II in 1727 with a motive to establish a new capital for his kingdom of Dhundar. It was one of the kingdoms along with others which share a similar identity to form a combined state of Rajasthan today. Dhundar was ruled from Amer, which was like any other contemporary city of the time, with palace built on the top and dwellings down the hill. This was based on social and political hierarchy. This ensured a defense for the city, but with time providing space for the growing population was not possible. At the same time, Amer was facing a problem of water scarcity. He envisioned to establish a new city which could empower his status against Mughal Delhi. The site was selected 11 kilometers south to the Amer fort on the plain surrounded by hills on the three sides, east, west and the north. King Jai Singh consulted several books on architecture and architects while planning the layout of Jaipur and hired Vidyadhar Bhattacharya, a Bengali scholar in the field, to design the plan for the new city. The city was planned on the ancient principles of Vastu Shastra and Shilpa Shastra, which have rules and guidelines for architecture. The plan was divided into a grid of 3 by 3 known as chowkadis and aligned 15-degree clockwise. The mandala, however, could not be formed in the northwest direction due to the existing hill, so an additional block was added in the southeast direction. The central axis of the city passed between Gate of the Sun in the east, known as Suraj Pole, and Gate of the Moon in the west, known as Chand Pole. Before starting the construction of Jaipur city, the selected area was leveled up by removing unwanted soil, shrubs, sand dunes, and gullies. The material resources was also abundantly available and stones could be fetched from the nearest hills. A pre-commission project in 1726 where water from Jhotwada river was diverted to the city. The planning was revolutionary for an Indian city which followed a gridiron pattern unlike other cities of the time which grew more organically. The town was fortified with 25 feet high and 9 feet thick walls along the periphery with 7 entrance gates. Out of the 9 gates, 2 were dedicated for the palace. The streets were designed according to the fixed principle of Shilpa Shastra, with primary streets having 111 feet width, 55 feet for the secondary, and smaller lanes with 27 feet width. The temple was placed at the center of the plan, in the block which is traditionally called Brahmasthan in Vastu Shastra. The block was the seat of power for the king, and other famous monuments like Hawa Mahal and Jantar Mantar were planned here. Along the central axis at the intersection of north-south roads, 2 central squares were planned known as Badi Chowpat and Choti Chowpat, identical in size of 350 feet width. The planning was done for an estimated population of around 50,000 people, which grew to 1.25 lakhs by 1881. The public area or blocks known as chowkadis were divided further into different secondary streets known as Rasta or Marg, forming neighborhoods of quarters. These residential quarters were allocated among communities of same caste, subcaste or profession, with smaller lanes known as gullies or ghair. Sizes of each block was different from another. Some were big and some were small, but average size of residential neighborhood was around 1.42 hectares. The residential units were known as Havelis. A Haveli is a traditional courtyard house in Rajasthan and several other parts of India. This is a preferred housing typology due to hot and arid climate of Rajasthan. Havelis consist of central open space with dwelling units around it. The size of Haveli varied on social hierarchy and size of community living, with larger Havelis having multiple courtyards. Larger Havelis were given to ranking officials and important figures. A trend is seen in allocation of quarters. The largest haveli surrounded the palace with decreasing size, spreading outwards. The units near the palace were built as per the initial plans, but in the farther located areas near the boundary wall, the cluster varied from initial plan due to several inclusions of unplanned communities and variance in settlement through the period of time. The new capital was also planned to be an economic hub and grow as a center of trade in the region. The king sent invitations to traders from various regions and states to settle down and conduct business in the city. The Cardinal Roads were allocated for uniformly sized shops forming bazaars. These were given to traders, merchants, bankers, and artisans who were local as well as new settlers to establish themselves in the city. A total of 1362 shops were constructed in the initial phase, with several new as the city grew. The shop fronts on both sides of the streets were designed in a way to maintain a uniform facade throughout. Initially, one-storied shops were built, but later his successor added further stories to the existing ones. To attract traders, he gave away many benefits to the settlers. They were given tax incentives for new businesses, land for workshops, homes to new settlers, security, patronage to artisans, and established an administration to organize day-to-day accounting. Several fairs were conducted to attract traders from different locations and give a boost to its marketing. This could be an early example of special economic zone in India. The city was surrounded in 3 sides, so the scope for expansion was only on the south, which gives the current city of Jaipur. The city expanded south, but the original city can still be identified and known as Pink City. The Pink City has a different vibe with red painted buildings and structures. Ornamentation and calligraphy is done in white uniformly. Lots of conservation work has been dedicated towards preserving aesthetics and management. Various efforts have been made into preserving the tangible heritage like crafts and monuments, at the same time intangible heritage like traditions, art and culture. There are guidelines for every aspect, architectural or cultural, drawn by local bodies on how to achieve that. Times and on surveys are conducted to keep a track of today and map the past. Jaipur, particularly Pink City, is a national heritage and now has become part of World Stage after it was declared UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2019. This will take the efforts to a next level along with the coordination with the local body. In a critical observation, we can see even today, the roads of Pink City are wide enough to cater today's traffic without congestion, which is an example how our cities can take inspiration to plan and expand in an organized way.